I have a new definition for hell. And the nice thing is, it doesn't conflict with my old definition. That seems to be how it works. When the Lord deepens understanding, it doesn't confuse. Instead, it brings even more clarity to something we already understand. The word hell itself is actually found just 23 times in the King James New Testament. This immediately begs the question, if hell is as horrendous as many folks say it is, wouldn't it be found a lot more in the New Testament scripture? Wouldn't the Lord, as well as all the apostles, not have spent a huge amount of time warning us of such a place? And to add even further perplexity, there are actually 3 different definitions for the 23 times hell is found. One definition accounts for 12 instances, another for 10, and still another for 1. The definition for the 12, it's Gehenna, which Strong's defines as of Hebrew origin, valley of the son of Hinnom. The 10, this is Hades, which Strong's defines as unseen. And the 1, it's Tartaroo, which Strong's defines as the deepest abyss of Hades. By the way, the word rendered hell in the King James Old Testament is found 31 times. It's Sheol, and Strong's defines it as Hades. Mine's expository dictionary mentions that Hades in the New Testament corresponds to Sheol in the Old. Still, we now have 4 definitions. So, all of these definitions refer to a place of eternal conscious torment, despite the fact that the definitions don't support this idea. Now, that's what a lot of folks think, but that's like saying that the definition for bicycle is the same as automobile. This brings me to my first and very important point, which is the idea of definition itself. I cannot help but believe that a good amount of confusion in Christian circles has been brought about simply because most folks never look below the surface of what they read. They assume that the King James Bible, or whatever translation they might use, must be accurately translated. After all, it's the Bible, right? But that's like saying that politicians never lie because they're public servants. By no means do the definitions give us all the understanding that we might glean from a particular concept. But I have to say it's a good start, current subject notwithstanding. Think about it. If you think a bicycle and automobile refer to the same thing simply because you never knew the difference or checked their definitions, it might just screw you up in other areas of interpretation, right? Especially if you're considering a trip from California to Florida. Now, just to add a little more weight to my argument, take the word everlasting, used in the same context as our word Gehenna in Matthew 18:8. This is the Greek transliteration Aionios, which is the adjective form of the word aeon, basically meaning an age. And since an age has both a beginning and an end, it cannot mean everlasting or eternal. Yet, Aionios has been rendered eternal 42 times and everlasting 25 times in the King James New Testament. Think this might produce some confusion? My answer? Yes, it already has, many times over. But now let me emphasize, definitions are not the cure-all. That's why my go-to scripture is Romans 1:20, where we're told that God's eternal power and divine nature are clearly perceived in the things that have been made. It's difficult to argue with the laws of nature and those things that are scientifically proven. Yet, even in these things, we must leave room for skepticism. That's why a good dose of "I don't know" is very appropriate at times. Okay, so if you don't mind, let me give you my 2 main definitions of hell, neither of which mean eternal conscious torment. First definition: hell is the manifestation of death. Second definition: Hell is the ignorance of pride. How in the world did I come up with these, you ask? Well, stay with me, and I'll do my best to show you. And I didn't go outside Scripture to get these definitions or understandings. That said, I started with the Strong's definitions, then considered the context of where these definitions are used, brought in a little bit of type and shadow and some parabolic thinking, and voila, came up with my understanding. Feel free to reject it if you think I'm off. Now, to avoid any further confusion, let's throw out the word hell in this discussion and go with the definitions instead. That way, one definition doesn't trip over another in our heads. Let's start with Hades. Remember, Hades is found just 10 times. Let's consider the following words of Christ. When I saw him, I fell at his feet as though dead. But he laid his right hand on me, saying, Fear not. I am the first and the last and the living one. I died, and behold, I am alive forevermore. And I have the keys of death and Hades. Death and Hades. Hades meaning unseen. And interestingly enough, this particular word is found just 4 times in the book of Revelation. Gehenna is not found in this book at all. Lots of folks think Hades is the lake of fire, but it can't be, since death, along with Hades, is thrown into it. Hades is a compound word where alpha, used as a negative particle, along with ado, meaning to see or know, produces the word unseen. Since ado carries the bulk of the definition, let's look at this a little closer. Note the following. Saying, Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which says, By hearing you shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing you shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. Okay, no pun intended, but do you see it? In the first passages, it talks about literally seeing something with our natural eyes, but in the second, it speaks figuratively, referring to our understanding or perception. So, if this is the case with our word ado, might the negative of this word function much the same? That is, both in a visible and invisible application? In the sense of what we see and understand, is it not true that behind the visible is the essence of the invisible? For example, if we take time to consider the construction of a building, does it not point to the fact that there is a lot of knowledge and understanding applied before construction ever starts, as well as a lot of knowledge and understanding applied during construction? Isn't the first a manifestation of the second? Gemini defines manifestation as the act of bringing something from the realm of thought, intention, or theory into physical reality. This, of course, lends to my first definition that Hades is the manifestation of death. What do I mean by this first definition? Well, first of all, we must define what is meant by death. Note the following. For those who live according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh, but those who live according to the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Most of us think of death and dying as what is happening to this human form. This is true, but this is not what Paul is talking about in the preceding passages. According to Paul, death is to be carnally minded, meaning we set our minds on the things of the flesh. This does not automatically mean that anything relating to this human form and its attachments is evil. However, it does mean that everything relating to this world of form, including our bodies, is definitely temporary and not meant to last. And so Paul states the following: "Therefore we do not lose heart. Even though our outward man is perishing, yet the inward man is being renewed day by day. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory, while we do not look at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal." Well, here we are, my friends. The outward man is perishing, while the inward man is being renewed day by day. When compared to Romans 8, it's easy enough to see then that the outward man consists of the mind set on the things of the flesh, while the inward man the things of spirit. Visible, invisible, where again, the visible is the manifestation of the invisible, the outward of the inward. Much to consider, so let me stop here, and we'll pick up from here in the next study.